This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Morning, Brian. I'm sure you've been aware of what's been happening around the world, particularly the sports world over the past 48 hours. In light of that, what should we expect to see from the Dolphins today and or tomorrow? And has there been any discussion about making any sort of statement?
Well, you know, we talked about this the other day, and, you know, I addressed the Jacob Blake situation with you guys and talked to you about, you know, how upsetting it was, how frustrating it is when these, you know, situations occur time after time after time, and how we need, you know, more unity. So we spoke as a team. Look, we understand there's a lot of things. They're not where they need to be right now. It pains us. We spoke, you know, we decided to practice, but we all know and understand that things aren't where they need to be right now. And we're going to meet later today and just talk about some things we can, you know, put into action so that we can, you know, try to create some, you know, make a difference, create some change. So, but we are going to practice. Look, I mean, this is, you guys know this. I've lived this. You know, I grew up in this era. I've had guns pointed at me by police officers. This is not something I take lightly. This team takes lightly. I've had multiple conversations. They've spoken to you. I know Kayvon talked to you about his situation and his other experiences that guys on our team have had that, you know, are unfortunate. And, you know, we need change. So, I mean, that's where I'm at on this situation.
Adam?
Brian, what went into the thinking of activating Xavier Howard off both the COVID and PUP lists, and should we expect to see him to practice today? Yeah, X is, you know, ready to, you know, get out on the field. He's progressing with obviously, you know, the COVID, the knee. So we felt like he was ready to get out there and participate in practice. And again, he's got a long way to go as far as from a conditioning standpoint, drill work, you know, communication with his teammates. So, you know, this is the first step.
For a while now, I've been telling you for a while now about this because there's so much stinking drama. You know, whether it's a writer, whether it's an on-air person, whether it's national people, whatever. And there's too much talk about this and too much concern. And I kept telling you guys that I'm not worried about X. Let them take their time. Noah's the kid that needs the playing time. Nick Needham needs to sharpen his skills. I know X can play. Get his ass healthy. Let him rehab that knee, recover from COVID, all that stuff. Now let him get his conditioning. That's next. And now he's got, you know what, 2 weeks to get conditioning? So he's got plenty of time to get conditioning, okay? And then you can put him out there and you can have your two corners out there. There is no concern whatsoever with X. The only concern is can he stay healthy now for the rest of the season? But I'm not worried about whether he can play or he can't. I know he can play. Just get him out there, but there was no hurry. I didn't understand this, how you made something out of nothing. Let's wait till the young man can actually get back on the field, and then we can talk about where he's at. Has he lost a step because of the surgeries? Is he just fine? Okay, great. All he has to do now is stay healthy and obviously stay out of trouble. And then next offseason, you can make a move with X. You know what I mean? But it wasn't going to happen this year. This year is about rebuilding the character and reestablishing the player. And you do those things, then maybe you have a tradable asset next year that somebody is looking because they think they're a corner away from being a Super Bowl winner. Go ahead, Bill. Continue with Brian Flores today.
Mike?
Good morning, Coach. Earlier this week, you talked about Malcolm Perry and what you liked in him. Can I ask you this? I know it's early on, but do you see a comparison with the player you were once around, Julian Edelman, as far as a kid who was a college quarterback, converted to a slot back, and the things that he did? Do you see the early stages of that in Malcolm?
Yeah, I was with Julian. I was I was a special teams assistant when he came in. But yeah, Julian's a great player. I mean, that's just what it boils down to. And I really don't like making comparisons, really in any area. I think Malcolm's got to focus on being the best version of Malcolm that he can be. So to compare him to, Julian or any other player in the league, I think it's unfair. I think he's just got to continue to do what he's doing, which is stack good days together, learn the offense, learn the kicking game, and do everything and anything he can to help this team have some success, which is what he's done.
I haven't told you. Wait, hold on.
Done. I would say all the good players I've been around have taken that approach. When you start making comparisons, it doesn't work out really for anyone in any area. Am I as good as this guy? Am I better than that? I mean, let's just focus on and worry about today, getting better, and let the chips fall where they fall after that. So that's my message to him. I wouldn't compare him to really anyone. He's got to compete with himself. Any good player I've been around is taking that approach.
Now, you got to love how Flores' mind, more often than not, because nobody's ever going to be perfect, and I'm sure he's going to screw it up one day. His mind is playing chess. Okay? I told you earlier in the week, somebody tried to trap him with the Rosen competing with Tua thing, and he didn't have any of that, right? He didn't mention it. He didn't do anything. He just said, hey, Tua's got to get ready, this and that. He didn't want the headline to be Tua Rosen competing for the number 2 job. He'll let the writers write that. He'll let the talking heads talk about it on TV, radio, blogs, you name it, whatever. He wasn't going to allow you to bait him into putting the pressure on Malcolm Perry saying, oh, no, he reminds me of Edelman, because that's it, dude. It's headline across the Herald, the Sentinel, the Palm Beach Post, the Athletic, SI, everywhere. Oh, coach compares Malcolm Perry to Julian Edelman, and it's over. And now we expect Malcolm Perry to turn into Julian Edelman. And if he doesn't turn into Julian Edelman and he gets cut in 2 weeks or 2 months from now or next year, we're like, hey, I thought the coach said he was Julian Edelman. So it's really, really smart. And then the second part of that is he doesn't put the pressure on the kid to have to live up to Julian Edelman too. He lets Malcolm Perry be Malcolm Perry. And maybe Malcolm Perry he's just a guy that helps you move the chains. Nothing wrong with a possession receiver. Maybe he's an explosive player that can help you out on special teams and as a wide receiver. Maybe he's a guy that can take the top end of the defense off. I have no idea, but let's give him a chance to actually develop his own identity. And that's exactly what the coach was doing. And I love that, because forget about the silly headlines from writers and TV people and people on radio or whatever and say, oh, hey, he thinks Malcolm Perry's Julian Edelman. Forget about all of that. It's the second half that's the most important part. It's what the coach did for the player in that comment. He let Malcolm Perry be Malcolm Perry, instead of he all of a sudden laid the burden on Malcolm Perry to live up to Julian Edelman. That would be unfair, because we don't know. Malcolm Perry could be nothing, and he could be out of the league and playing in the new XFL next year. He could be just a little bit less than Julian Edelman. He could be his equal, or he could be better than Julian Edelman. But let's allow Malcolm Perry to grow into what he's going to be, and don't allow the coach to run his mouth or the media to create a bunch of crap that is just going to get in the way. Go ahead, Bill.
Alan? Good morning, Brian. You guys this week have brought back Trent Harris and Avery Moss. Given the circumstances and everything going around with COVID, is familiarity even more important when you're looking to add to your roster than maybe in years past?
No, not necessarily. I think need played a big part in that, and had a couple guys banged up. And yeah, we know Trent, we know Avery, but we also worked out a few other players. So again, we're always going to try to bring in guys who we think can help this team from a practice standpoint, from a playing standpoint. So it doesn't hurt. I tell you that. It doesn't hurt at all. That we know the player, we know what type of people they are, we know how important the game is. It doesn't hurt them at all. But we're always going to try to bring in players who we think can help us.
Joe.
Good morning, Flo. I wanted to ask what we might expect to see in terms of today's practice and tomorrow, and what you hope to get out of each day.
Good fundamentals, good technique, good communication. We'll have the officials there, so we'll get a good look as far as playing the right way, no holding, offensively or defensively, getting up to the line of scrimmage quickly to get the ball snapped. But just overall improvement in every area: throwing, catching, blocking, defeating blocks, tackling, breaking tackles, all those fundamentals and basic football. Basic overall football. I'm looking for just improvement from that standpoint. Again, we're a young team, so just kind of trying to build the continuity. A lot of these guys haven't played together. We're still, in the beginning stages from that standpoint. So we got a long way to go. I mean, it's a young team, and it's an inexperienced team, so we're just taking this one day at a time.
Safid.
Hello, good morning. I wanted to get your impressions of Gerald Alexander and the job he's doing so far, and especially we've got some insight on this game that he has the secondary playing. Seems like a college coach, former college coach trying to make an impact here. What can you say about the early strides that he's making as a coach?
Well, he keeps a fresh bald head, Safid, so I know you like him. But yeah, GA is a good young coach. Obviously played in the league. Smart, energetic for sure. I think he does a great job with communication. He's a good teacher, good young coach, and I'm excited to work with him. He and I've had a lot of conversations. He's over there coaching the secondary, so we have a lot of safeties was the first position I coached, so we have a lot of conversations about that group and some of the adjustments, some of the improvements they need to make. So, my conversations are with GA and then all the other coaches. I think we got a good young staff with Campanelli and Austin and Hobby. Charles Burks is coming along. So the same thing offensively and in the kicking game. So I'm excited about all those guys, and I'll try to keep my head shaved like he does, and you do, Safid.
We got time for one more. We'll go to Kyle.
Morning, Coach. I want to keep the focus in the secondary real quick. I was hoping you could speak on the value of having two safeties in Eric and Bobby, who have so much experience playing cornerback at the pro level, and how that can help you keep your defense multiple in the back end.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. So, when guys have played multiple positions and they, especially at the safety position, to be able to relive some of their corner days, some of the issues they may have had at that position, and then communicate it and understand it from that perspective, I think that goes a long way. It's one thing to, try to put yourself in those shoes. It's another thing to have actually been in them. But the flip side of that is, not a lot of corners have gone down in the box and played, had to fit the run game either. So there's a learning curve and a learning process for guys who move from corner safety or safety to linebacker or linebacker to D-line. There's always a little bit of a learning curve. I think both guys have accepted the challenge to move positions. I think it helps the communication to have been in those other spots, going from corner to safety. But there's some challenges as well. I would say, fitting a run and dealing with, run fits is a little bit different for both guys. Obviously, Rowe more than Bobby. But at the end of the day, I think both guys are working to improve. They're working to get better, and I'm pleased with both guys.
There you go. That's the head coach addressing the media today, and obviously safety. One of the things that he was talking about. Remember, I've told you guys from day one, they gotta be versatile, man, and you gotta have some cover skills to play at safety, and that's one of the things that. It's always a trait that whenever they're looking for safeties, it's usually not going to be a guy that doesn't necessarily or can't cover. You know what I'm saying?